Hi everyone, this video is for two types of people. First, if you are an NRI, you have money sitting abroad and you want to invest it into India. But every time you try, it's a maze. Convert to rupees, open the right account, figure out the tax treatment and deal with the repatriation later. It's complicated. And most people either delay it or do it through some offshore fund route they don't fully understand. And second, if you are a resident Indian who keeps hearing, invest globally, diversify into dollars. But when you actually try to do it, you don't know where to start. And you're not sure if it's even allowed. Gift City was built to exactly solve these two problems. So what actually is Gift City? GIFT stands for Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It's a piece of land, 886 acres today, expanding to over 3,300 acres, sitting in Gandhinagar, the capital of Gujarat. But here's where it gets interesting. Inside this land, the Indian government has created a special financial zone called the International Financial Services Center, IFSC for short. And inside this zone, the rules are completely different from the rest of India. Think of it like a duty-free zone at an airport. You are physically inside India, but the moment you step into that zone, different rules apply. Different taxes, different regulations, and different currencies. That's exactly how Gift City works. You're physically standing in Gujarat, but for the purposes of any financial transaction, on paper, in law, in regulation, you are in a foreign jurisdiction. Your account holds US dollars, not rupees. The fund you invest in is denominated in dollars. The rules that govern it are designed for global finance, not domestic Indian finance. That one distinction, foreign territory inside India, is what makes everything else possible. And that's what we are going to unpack in this video today. Now let's understand, why did India build this? Let me give you a simple analogy to understand why. Imagine you own a restaurant, but all your best customers keep going to the restaurant next door. Not because the food is better, but because parking is easier, the rules are simpler, and the taxes are lower. And that's exactly what was happening with Indian finance for decades. Indian companies that wanted to raise money in dollars, they would go to Singapore or London to do it. NRIs sitting abroad who wanted to invest their dollars back into India, they would do it through Singapore or Mauritius-based fund. And wealthy resident Indians who wanted to put some of their savings into dollar investments, they would route that money out through Mauritius or Dubai, setting up offshore entities and offshore holding structures. Even foreign banks that wanted to work with Indian clients, they would do it from the Singapore offices. Why? Because those places had simpler rules, faster approvals, and a better tax environment for global finance. So India was essentially watching crores of rupees of business, jobs, and tax revenue walk out of the door every single year to Singapore, to Dubai, to Mauritius. Gift City is India saying, enough. We'll build that same thing right here in Gujarat. Same dollar transactions, same global rules, same tax advantages, but inside India. So the next time an Indian company wants to raise dollars, they don't need to fly to Singapore to do it. The next time an NRI wants to put money into India through a clean dollar-denominated fund without converting to rupees, without the old NRE-NRO paperwork maze, they don't need a Mauritius structure to do it. And if a resident Indian wants to make dollar investments, they don't have to create offshore structures. All of it can happen right here, inside India, inside Gift City. Three rules make Gift City different from every other part of India. First, SEZ location. You see, it's inside a special economic zone. SEZs have always come with tax and regulatory benefits to encourage businesses. The IFSC layers a second set of financial rules on top of that. Second, foreign currency. All businesses inside the IFSC is conducted in foreign currency, predominantly in US dollars. Accounts hold dollars, funds are denominated in dollars, rupees don't enter the picture. This is what makes it function as a global financial center. And third, one single regulator. In normal India, RBI for banks, SEBI for capital markets, IRDAI for insurance, and PFRDA for pension. 4 different regulators, 4 approval processes. Inside Gift City, all 4 are replaced by one, the International Financial Services Centers Authority, IFSCA, set up in April 2020. One desk, one rule book, one approval process. That combination, SEZ location, dollar transactions, single regulator, is what makes Gift City structurally different. Now let's see what's the tax framework in Gift City. Now tax laws around Gift City have evolved rapidly over the last few years. What I'm describing is the framework as of May 2026. This is education, not advice. For your specific situation, speak to your investment advisor. Now, here's how the tax framework broadly works. Trades on IFSC exchanges involve zero securities transaction tax, zero stamp duty, and zero commodity transaction tax. Financial services transactions from GIFT City treated as export of services and hence has zero GST. Compare that to 18% GST on financial services in normal India. Interest on foreign currency deposits in GIFT City are tax-free for eligible holders. Specified fund units under Category 3 AIFs, retail schemes, ETFs are fully exempt from capital gains under Section 10(4)(d) of the Income Tax Act. The fund pays tax at the fund level, while the distribution to the investors are exempt. This is not simply lower taxes on Indian income. It is a different tax architecture designed to make India cost competitive with countries like Singapore, Dubai, etc. for cross-border financial activity. Now, most importantly, let's understand why GIFT City is a game changer for inbound investing. Let's talk about NRIs specifically, and I'll be quite direct here because this is a large part of what I do for my clients. If you are an NRI or OCI, GIFT City gives you a fundamentally cleaner and more tax efficient way to invest money into India compared to the traditional NRE NRO route. It gives you the option to invest in GIFT City retail mutual funds, which are dollar denominated, and investments can start from as little as $500 US. Yes, it's that low. It gives you the option to invest in alternative investment funds. You can also invest in portfolio management services structures starting at $75,000 US. And it gives you access to trade in global equities directly accessible on IFSC exchanges. First, no forced rupee conversion. Your dollars stay in dollars, invest, earn and repatriate in dollars. Second, full capital gains exemption in India under Section 10(4)(d) on AIFs, retail schemes, ETFs, under specified fund route. Tax only in your country of residence. For UAE-based NRIs with no capital gains tax, effectively zero tax. Third, no STT, no stamp duty, no commodity transaction tax. Fourth, no portfolio investment scheme approval needed, unlike secondary market investing in mainland India. Fifth, complete your onboarding remotely via video KYC in 15 to 30 minutes. No India visits required. And sixth, India's DTAA with your country of residence applies on top of GIFT City exemptions. I've seen NRI clients who were previously routing their India investments through Singapore-based structures now moving those allocations to GIFT City, specifically because the regulatory and tax framework here is now comparable to what offshore jurisdictions were offering, and you remain closer to Indian assets. So if you are an NRI and you're not yet looking at GIFT City as part of your India investment strategy, it deserves a serious consideration. Similarly, let's see how GIFT City helps the resident Indian in outbound investing. If you are sitting in India and you want to invest in global stocks, global funds, international ETFs and bonds, GIFT City gives you a clean, regulated way to exactly do that. Under the liberalized remittance scheme, a resident Indian can send up to $250,000 per financial year outside India for permitted purposes. For a family of 4 adults, it's $1 million. Investing in IFSC products at GIFT City is a permitted use of LRS. The flow is straightforward. Remit dollars from your Indian bank account to a GIFT City bank account under LRS. From there, invest into global equities, funds, ETFs, AIFs, or PMS structures that hold global assets. Returns accrue in dollars. Tax treatment follows GIFT City rules. Some of the advantages here for investors are: first, access to dollar-denominated global assets through a fully regulated Indian structure. Second, no need for foreign brokers, foreign account compliance, or navigating PFIC rules. Third, your CA, your advisor, and your bank all operate within a framework they understand. And fourth, fund level taxation on qualifying structures means simplified compliance. Let me quickly give you the full picture of who participates in GIFT City. NRIs and OCIs. For them, it's the most direct access and the cleanest tax position. Resident Indians who invest under LRS for global exposure through IFSC products. Companies, fund management entities, banks, insurance companies, fintech entities, and foreign institutional investors, which include pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, global asset managers are today using Gift City as their preferred India point. One important restriction worth noting here is that investors from countries on the FATF blacklist or graylist cannot participate in Gift City products. Compliance is non negotiable here. So, to finally bring it all together, Gift City is not a tax loophole. It is a different regulatory and tax architecture built by India to make cross border financial activity happen inside India rather than outside it. It is not a pilot program. It is not a proposal. It is an operating financial center at scale and is growing very fast. For NRIs, it gives them a cleaner, dollar native way to invest into India. No forced rupee conversion, no repatriation friction, full capital gains exemption on the fund route. And for resident Indians, it gives them a regulated, India based way to access global assets through the LRS route. As always, everything in this video is education, not investment advice. Your individual investment decisions depend on your specific situation. So speak to your advisor today. If you found this video valuable, hit subscribe. I'm Kishan Jakhotia and see you in the next one.